Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav for the session of the indicators where we will be looking for one interesting indicator. I try to explain to you various indicators which are available on the JForex platform. So today we are going to consider one interesting indicator. The name is Murrey channel. This indicator, as the name suggests, doesn't really give you a channel in the sense that there are no upper band and the lower band which is going to move along with the eyes. Rather than that, we get multiple output values. The system which gets us nine main components as well as six extra pivot points which are used to determine, or you can say gauge, the extreme conditions reached, extreme overbought or oversold scenarios. So for trend, you can utilize main nine lines, and for looking at opportunities to go against the trend, you can utilize further additional six pivot points, which are given by this setup of Murray channel. So we head to the JForex 4 platform, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. Pardon me. This is the Euro USD chart drawn on the hourly time frame. I have added this money channel indicator with its calculation base. The default settings are 90 0, and I think I have drawn it on the daily time frame, which I will reduce to some lower time frame. But if we reduce it to too low a time frame, I think we will have too many lines drawn on this. So we will mainly deal with these lines. We get output lines starting from 0 of 8 pivot point to all the way to 8 of 8 pivot point, and then we have this additional plus 1 of 8 pivot point and say plus 2 of 8 pivot point. And on the upper side we have these minus second of 8 pivot point and minus first of 8 pivot point. So both these lines are utilized to determine the support and the resistance. The negative lines, the minus second and minus first pivot point, are used for finding the support zone, and the plus 2, plus 1 and plus 2 of 8 pivot point are used to look for the resistance zone. Whereas the other 8 points starting from 0 to 8 are kind of entry optimization systems, and we can look for where to go for the entry. If we have determined the trend, then of course the next big question is whether to enter at the current price or look for more opportune time, more opportune price which is likely to get us better risk reward ratio. So for that we can rely on these output values, the Murray channel indicators. So all in all, we can utilize these all these output values as the support and resistance zone to act in the near term. So if we have the price moving from higher side to the lower side, then we can expect some support to be found when it approaches closer to the lower side. But first we have to make sure that it is holding closer to that range, and if it is not, and if it is breaking even below that, as is happening in today's session in the case of Euro USD, then it is better to continue to trade with the trend and further short it whenever we have fresh decline. So here you can utilize the system like this. We had this second of eighth pivot point at 1.00098. So from there on, the decline began, and then we saw the consolidation happening closer to the first of 8 pivot point. And after that, when we had this second leg starting again after this consolidation, I think this is the point where we could have tried to go for the short sale trade while keeping the stop loss just little above this prior high, the recent high. So in that sense, you can utilize this channel to see where the consolidation is happening, what the underlying trend is, and then accordingly take the entries. And as the price is now approaching on the lower side, closer to these 0 of its pivot point, we will have to first see if the price holds closer to this price zone or not, and only if we see consolidation happening closer to this price band, and after that consolidation we have to see on which side the fresh breakout is going to happen. So here, as the price moves are quite sharp, we have the opportunity to now assess in terms of this Murray channel that this is not really the time to initiate the fresh entry. The time was earlier in the day when we had this consolidation closer to the first of eighth pivot point for this series, and now we have another level in play. But for that level to be effective, first we will have to allow the price range, the price action of the Euro USD to go and touch this line. And after that, if it consolidates or if it breaks below that, then we will have to make the assessment on the basis of that. So all these lines can be utilized in a similar manner, similar fashion. And this indicator here is being drawn on the data used for last 90 days. Each candle period has been defined for 1 day, and we are taking 90 as its calculation period. So whatever has been the price action for Euro USD over last 90 days, on the basis of that, we have these price channels drawn for us to make good use of these movements, and we have this price action which is also holding quite well closer to these bands. We are getting good trading signals here also. So suppose if we go back in time, and here on many occasions we can see that various of these lines, it is going to be varying from time to time. Here we had this second of 8 pivot point line acting as the resistance zone. It continued to provide resistance, and eventually it hold eventually it brought too much for the Euro USD to continue holding its levels, and then the decline began, and we saw it further getting closer to this first of 8 pivot point. And after that we did saw fresh break, and we again got these moves below the second of 8 pivot point, and then further consolidation, then move on the lower side where we saw these price action moving in the oversold territory. After this consolidation, we saw sharp reversal, sharp correction in the Euro USD, where it climbed back almost 300 to 400 points from the lower side. So we are going to get this kind of opportunity, but first is the price action and the line combination. We have to see which level is holding on the day. If we have any level in play, then that level has to be respected by the price action data, and only in that sense we can say that this level is holding well, and then we can make the assessment and go for the initiation of the new trade. All right. The concept of this indicator is simple. It is mostly used in a similar fashion to how we use various pivot points, the Fibonacci pivots, simple classical pivot points, or other Woody pivot points. The its formula, the calculation is a bit complex, and I won't be able to go into the details of the calculation of each of these lines, as that will take a whole lot of other presentation. I might need to use PowerPoint presentation also. So instead of that, for if you want the exact calculation for this Murray channel, then you can simply do a search on the internet and you will get the exact formula. That's not very difficult to find, so I'm not going into that. For us, we are more focused on the functional aspects of it, and as we found one example of this sub turnaround from these oversold territory. We also have to look for when the price was on the extreme spectrum on the opposite side, that is when it was in overbought territory and then reversed. I think in near term we are not really going to find those kind of scenarios, as euro usd has been bearish for quite a while now, so we will have to go back quite a lot in time. Instead of that, I will just change the calculation period, the candle period for these indicator, and let's see how it works on the lower time frames. All right, so I'm now back in today's session, and let's go for edit indicator option, and let's try out changing its candle period. All right, and as it appears here, we don't really have that option. All we can do is vary its calculation period, the end period. So if we take recent price data, suppose if I reduce it to 10, then it will be drawn using only last 10 days of price data. So here we have these indicators plotting, and these levels, all these points drawn using these Murrey channels have now moved a lot closer to each other. And here in today's session we had the euro USD moving from this final point before we have these resistance lines drawn on the higher side closer to 1.007. So prior to that, this turnaround happened, and now we are seeing that it is approaching the lower support zone. But as I said earlier while explaining the lines drawn using the daily time frame. First, we have to see the price action conforming with these lines drawn using the indicator, and if there is conformity between the indicator as well as the price action data, only in that scenario we have to take the trade. So here, whatever is your system, if you want to use the lower time frame data, then you are going to get the indicator output, which is going to be in accordance with the recent price moves. If the range has been narrow, then we will have these lines drawn in a narrow range. But if the volatility has been a lot higher, then in that case, the lines will be drawn wide apart. All right. So you can go for these different calculation periods which will be utilized while calculating these range for the indicator. Now here we are using 50 as the calculation base for this indicator. All right. Step back. If you want to include current day's price moves also, then you have to keep the step back at 0. But if you want the recent price moves to be left out, if you want the calculation to be done on the basis of only prior data, if you feel that volatility has increased a lot in recent days, so you can even left out some days. Suppose if you want to rely only on the data prior to the last week, if you want to completely leave out the last 5 days worth of price data, then you can do that as well. So here there will be slight change depending on how you have done the calculation here. All right, and Now I will revert it back to 0. If you want the historical levels, you can get that as well. So here, these historical levels. Now let us go back to the editing option again. Alright, so we have this output combination also, which you can customize further if you want to play around with color, or if you feel like that not all these 8 lines are useful, and only if you want to use, say, the fourth line and leave out the lines in between. If you want to use only 0th, 4th, and then 8th one on the lower side, you can customize it like that as well. Or you, if you want, you can even cut out some these resistance and support lines as well. So it is up to you. It is always up to you to see what are the levels on which you can rely on more, and as per that then do the customization. Now if we draw it anew, here I think the plotting is still for all the lines. Let me check once more. Oh, let's add these lines once more and try to implement it in changed scenario. Okay, the output is coming back. I think this feature is not really working in the way I was expecting it. All right, now you can go for color combination as per your choice. So you can always use these other option also. If you go for reduced visibility for some of the lines, then you can do that as well. Suppose if you want to keep some lines in a prominent fashion and other lines only as the highlight or in the background of the chart, you can do that. Now let us see how this chart will appear. It is looking a lot different compared to what we were observing earlier, as we have tinkered with the visibility of some of the levels. All right, so this is it. So you can do customization of the output values for this indicator in all these possible manners. Moving to the advanced editing option, recalculate on new candle only. Mostly this output is going to be drawn on the prior data only, so this is not going to be making much of a difference if you go for this option or not. If you want the calculation period to be highlighted, I think as we have already chosen a large time frame as the calculation base, even these indicators option, editing option is not going to make much of a difference. If you want the calculation to be customized further, you can go for the instrument to be same as per the chart, or you can even specify it. So you get these options, but only two options are there: use from the chart or the Euro USD. The calculation period can be varied. So suppose if you want the indicator's calculation period to be less, then you can do that as well. Now here, this calculation base has been changed to 4 hours. Earlier it was day. Time zone, you can go for the time zone, look as per your local time zone. All right, side, it can be ask or bid, or you can simply use it from the chart. There is going to be only a slight difference in the output. If you want the indicator to be available on all the periods whenever you change the time, the candle period, you can have the indicator available on all those candle periods, or you have to specify on which candle period the indicator should be plotted. And if you specify it only for those candle periods, it will be plotted. Suppose now we are using 15 minutes and hourly as the time, candle period time on which these indicators should be visible. So we will have this indicator visible only on those two chosen time frames. But if I change it to say 4 hourly, the indicator should not be appearing. Let me again check what happened with the advanced editing option. Oh, here again it is showing back. That's why I think it appeared. All right. So, guys, that's it from my side for today's session. I hope you have been able to understand the properties, the possible uses, and the editing customization options provided on these platforms. So, do try it out and see how you can make best use of these indicators to look for profitable trading opportunities in the market. So, that's all from my side for today's session. Do leave in the feedback how you felt about knowing these indicators. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too. I have also included the link in the bio for these newly released trading platforms. So give it a try and let us know how it is compared to the prior version. Thank you all for joining in. I'll be back tomorrow with a new indicator, new session. Goodbye.